Imagine standing on the deck of a ship, surrounded by endless water, where the horizon erases all borders, and silence feels heavier than steel, because nothing connects you to the world anymore. Or at least, that is what people believed for centuries, while oceans remained blank spaces on human ambition maps. But today, that belief is quietly collapsing, as ships sail with invisible threads of data, linking them to satellites moving faster than thought and carrying human intention across the planet in real time. This shift is not just technical, it is philosophical, because connection has always defined progress itself. Out there beyond coastlines and cell towers, modern maritime Starlink technology redefines what is possible by using constellations of low Earth orbit, satellites that talk constantly to smart tracking, antennas mounted on ships. Those antennas do not stare at one fixed point in the sky, they move, think and adapt, locking onto satellites as the vessel rolls through waves, storms and darkness. This dance between machine and orbit creates a bridge that does not care how far from land you are. It only cares that you keep moving forward and staying aware in an environment that never forgives complacency or ignorance. For captains and crews, this connection is not about comfort or entertainment. It is about survival, real-time weather updates, precise navigation data engine, diagnostics and emergency coordination flow through Starlink streams, making the difference between anticipating danger and reacting too late. The ocean does not announce its threats, so technology must listen faster than human instinct alone ever could. And this is where vision meets discipline, because someone once decided that the sea should no longer be a place of isolation, but a place of continuous awareness, powered by engineering courage and relentless iteration that reflects the mindset often associated with Elon Musk that challenges limits rather than accepting them. The idea that a ship can be as connected as a city office forces us to rethink distance itself, because distance used to mean delay, uncertainty, and risk. Now it means latency, measured in milliseconds, and decisions made with clarity. This does not remove danger from the ocean, but it reshapes human response to danger, turning fear into focus and reaction into strategy. Yet, beneath this progress, there is a quiet question that builds tension. What happens when we become dependent on systems we cannot see or touch and trust with our lives? The middle of the ocean is where that question feels heaviest, because there are no shortcuts, no backup roads, and no easy rescues. And this is where Starlink is tested, not in marketing slides, but in salt spray and sleep-deprived nights, when crews watch screens for signals that guide their choices. The tracking antennas keep searching, adjusting and holding on as the ship moves through unforgiving water, and that persistence mirrors a larger human truth. Progress is rarely smooth. It requires constant correction, faith in feedback, and the willingness to keep tracking the signal, even when the noise is overwhelming. This is why the story of Starlink at sea is not just about internet. It is about humanity, refusing to accept disconnection as fate ships carry goods that feed cities, fuel economies, and support millions of lives far from the water. So when those ships become safer and smarter, the impact ripples outward into the world. We rarely see this is the hidden power of connecting remote places. It quietly reshapes everything downstream. And yet we are only at the beginning of understanding what constant oceanic connectivity will demand from us mentally, ethically, and strategically. Because with every problem we solve, we create new responsibilities, and the ability to see more clearly forces us to act more wisely. The ocean has always been a mirror for human ambition, reflecting both our brilliance and our blind spots. And now, with Starlink lighting up those blind spots, we can know. Longer pretend ignorance is inevitable. This raises the stakes and sets the stage for a future where every decision at sea carries the weight of better information and higher expectations, which is both empowering and unforgiving. This is the tension that pulls us forward and holds us accountable at the same time. As ships cross vast distances with satellite links humming above them, they carry a quiet message about what humans do best. We build tools to extend our awareness beyond natural limits, and then we are changed by what we can now see. This is why the story of how Starlink works in the middle of the ocean matters. It is a story about attention, resilience, and the refusal to accept blindness as a condition of exploration. And as this connection becomes normal, the real challenge emerges. Will we use this clarity to navigate wisely, or will we simply move faster toward old mistakes with new tools? The answer is not in the satellites or the antennas, but in the mindset of those who choose to treat information as responsibility rather than power. And that choice begins long before any voyage starts, because progress at sea, like progress in life, is not about eliminating risk. It is about seeing it clearly and deciding to move forward anyway, with discipline, humility, and purpose, while the world watches unaware of how much quiet courage it takes to stay connected in the middle of nowhere at all. In the heart of the ocean, where routines blur and nights stretch endlessly, technology becomes a silent crewmate whose presence is felt most when everything else goes wrong. Maritime Starlink is not installed for comfort alone. It exists for moments when storms rise without warning, routes change suddenly, and decisions must be made faster than human intuition can manage. Alone at sea isolation magnifies mistakes, which is why constant connectivity transforms not only navigation systems, but the psychology of crews, who no longer operate blindly under pressure, with shared data guiding every action forward during critical moments at sea alone. This shift changes how risk is perceived, because uncertainty once defined maritime life. Charts were outdated, forecasts unreliable, and emergency calls delayed by distance. Starlink replaces that delay with immediacy, allowing ships to receive live weather patterns, mechanical alerts, and positioning data continuously. Yet this immediacy introduces a double goal: deep attention reliance. When systems work perfectly, they fade into the background. But when signals falter, anxiety rises, and crews confront the fragility of digital trust. Out on moving decks, responsibility feels heavier with every connected choice made under pressure and time constraints that never fully disappear from maritime decision-making realities. As ships depend more on satellites, the question shifts from capability to responsibility. Who watches the watchers when algorithms route vessels through storms to save fuel? Who decides when connectivity overrides instinct? This is where philosophy enters engineering, because tools amplify intent and intent shapes outcomes. The mindset often linked to Elon Musk emphasizes rapid learning, constant feedback, and bold iteration. Yet at sea, boldness must coexist with caution, discipline, and respect for nature, whose power dwarfs human planning in ways technology can never fully tame, without humility, awareness, and restraint guiding every maritime choice through unpredictable environments, daily operations. Midway through long voyages, suspense grows quietly, not from drama, but from dependence on invisible networks. A sudden loss of signal in heavy seas forces crews to rely on training memory and teamwork, reminding them technology is support, not salvation. These moments reveal the true value of Starlink, not as a crutch, but as an extension of human awareness designed to sharpen judgment rather than replace it. The tension between trust and self-reliance defines modern seamanship during crises that test character and expose leadership under pressure, when systems fail unexpectedly, far beyond rescue range, with no easy answers available. Real-world use cases prove this balance. Research vessels stream data to scientists onshore, saving years of delayed discovery. Cargo ships reroute around storms, reducing losses and emissions. Fishing fleets coordinate legally and sustainably, while cruise liners maintain safety communication for thousands. Aboard each example shows connectivity multiplying competence rather than replacing it. The ocean remains indifferent, but informed humans respond faster, smarter, and calmer when information flows without interruption. This reshapes global trade reliability and maritime economics profoundly, while protecting lives and mental resilience across months of isolation that once defined seafaring as solitary endurance against uncontrollable odds alone. Suspense deepens when considering scale, because thousands of ships now rely on shared orbital infrastructure. A failure is no longer local. it becomes systemic, raising ethical questions about redundancy, governance, and accountability. Who ensures fairness, access, and security on open waters? The promise of constant connection demands vigilance, investment, and transparency, reminding us progress is not a finish line, but a process that must be actively maintained, especially where mistakes cost lives during storms, emergencies, and complex logistics that stretch human planning limits across borders, laws, and oceans. Without clear ownership structures in international maritime space, governed unevenly by history. Yet within this uncertainty lies opportunity. Because clarity forces maturity. When crews know more, they are expected to act better and accountability increases. Starlink does not eliminate human error, but it reduces excuses rooted in ignorance, forcing a cultural evolution at sea. Training improves decision-making, sharpens and leadership becomes more data-aware. The ocean tests this evolution daily, rewarding preparation and punishing complacency without bias. Information becomes discipline rather than advantage when consequences are immediate and unforgiving, far from public attention or comfortable safety nets that exist on land for most decision-makers observing maritime operations from afar today. The philosophical weight of constant connection challenges humanity to evolve ethically alongside technology. Seeing everything removes plausible deniability and exposes the cost of poor choices in real time. As ships transmit data continuously, responsibility follows the signal across oceans, forcing organizations to confront safety, labor, and environmental standards honestly. This is progress that demands courage, because transparency often reveals uncomfortable truths long hidden by distance between decisions and consequences, once delayed by weeks, months, or years in traditional maritime reporting systems prone to silence. And selective accountability now exposed by data streaming endlessly offshore from every vessel without pause anywhere. As this paragraph closes, the suspense remains unresolved, because connection raises expectations faster than culture adapts. Ships now operate under a watchful digital sky, yet humans remain fallible, and learning never stops. The challenge ahead is not building more satellites, but building wisdom equal to the information they provide. The ocean will continue to test resolve and the move. Future depends on how responsibly we answer, with humility, discipline, and long-term vision, rather than speed alone. When technology outpaces reflection at the edge of the world, where oceans still rule human ambition daily, despite digital progress and constant signals overhead. The final truth about how Starlink works in the middle of the ocean is not found in satellites or antennas, but in the mindset it demands from humanity as we step into an era where no place on Earth is truly disconnected anymore. The ocean once symbolized isolation, patience, and surrender to uncertainty. Yet today, it reflects a different story, one of awareness, responsibility, and intentional movement guided by information rather than fear. As ships cross vast waters with constant data flowing, overhead crews are no longer cut off from the world, but deeply embedded within it, and that changes how decisions feel, because consequences are clearer and time to react is shorter. This transformation carries a quiet moral weight, because when we can see better, we must choose better, and technology removes the comfort of ignorance that once softened accountability. The vision, often associated with Elon Musk, centers on pushing boundaries, not for spectacle, but to expand human capability, and Starlink at sea embodies that idea by extending our senses into environments that once demanded blind courage alone. Yet capability without character is dangerous, and the ocean remains the ultimate teacher of humility, reminding us daily that connection does not equal control, and information does not equal wisdom, unless guided by discipline and ethics. As maritime Starlink becomes normal, the true revolution unfolds not in bandwidth, but in behavior, because crews think differently, plan differently, and respond differently, knowing they are part of a global nervous system rather than isolated dots drifting across blue emptiness. This awareness reshapes safety culture as navigation decisions integrate live weather, data, vessel, health metrics, and fleet coordination, turning survival into strategy rather than chance. Real-world stories continue to emerge of ships avoiding disaster because early warnings arrived in time, of crews calling for help and being heard instantly, and of months at sea becoming mentally sustainable because connection reduces isolation that once weighed heavily on human endurance. These stories rarely trend or go viral, yet they quietly redefine progress, because saving lives, preserving mental health, and reducing environmental damage matter more than novelty. The suspense that once surrounded whether connection was possible has shifted into a deeper question of how we use it, because permanence changes expectations. Ships now operate under constant observation, and that transparency pressures organizations to uphold higher standards in safety, labor practices, and environmental responsibility. There is no hiding behind distance anymore, and that is uncomfortable, but necessary, because progress should challenge complacency, not reinforce it. The ocean remains unforgiving, and mistakes still happen, but they are now met with faster learning loops and shared accountability rather than silence. This evolution mirrors life itself, where better tools do not guarantee better outcomes, but they reveal our values with sharper contrast. In this sense, Starlink is less about internet and more about intention, because every connected choice becomes a reflection of who we are when no one can claim they did not know better. The middle of the ocean becomes a proving ground for human maturity, where technology amplifies both strengths and weaknesses without mercy or bias. As reliance grows, resilience must grow alongside it through redundancy training and ethical foresight, because dependence without preparation is fragility disguised as progress. The future of maritime connectivity will not be judged by speed alone, but by how wisely that speed is managed. When storms rise, systems fail, and pressure mounts far from easy rescue, the ocean will continue to test us, but now it tests our judgment more than our endurance, and that is a higher standard than any generation before has faced this. This is the deeper inspiration behind understanding how Starlink works in the middle of the things ocean, because it shows what happens when vision meets responsibility and ambition is tempered by respect for forces larger than ourselves. As the signal travels invisibly between ship and sky, it carries more than data. It carries expectation that we will act with foresight, humility, and care when given the gift of clarity. The real achievement is not that ships stay online, but that humanity learns to navigate complexity with integrity, whether at sea or in life itself, because progress without purpose is directionless, and purpose without awareness is blind. And only when the two align do we move forward without losing ourselves along the way, in an interconnected world where every decision echoes farther than ever before across oceans, industries, and generations yet to come. If you are benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.